Hey folks, so as always, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking on notifications. We're going to start doing more stuff that's timely, and we're going to start doing a lot more process now that I understand some of the topics we want covered. So the premise of this is going to just be understand that everything you need to know about math you learned essentially in 4th grade, and I believe it was Peter Lynch that said that. The math behind process is not that complicated. And what we're going to do here is I'm just going to give you basics, back of the envelope, little equations that you can do to kind of figure out where you're at and what process fits you. A lot of people are asking me what my process is, and quite frankly, I know why you're asking, but it doesn't develop your process, which is what you need to do. I don't know your risk tolerance, only you know that, and only you know your financial situation. Frankly, it's none of my business. So I don't need to know how much risk you can take. But this is very, very helpful. So what we're going to do is just walk through 4 examples very quickly of the newsletter stocks that came out, that were successful, and that were triggered. So here is DM, which we got in, rode around a while, and we had these wild swings with it. So we decided to trim right around here at like $26. This gave us a 36.8% gain on the trimming portion. The trimming portion, right, is at 36.8% gain. Now, the stop was moved to break even just for this example. In real life, we have it at $25.49. So let's say that we get stopped out at $19. What does that mean? Okay, if we sold 20% of that, we made 7.36% on the entire position. Okay? If we sold 50% of that, we made 18.4% on the entire position. 75% of it was trimmed, we made 27.6%. Okay? These are the 3 main ranges that exist, that people use. Now, I know people that use 0 trim, and they just ladder their stop up on the whole position. That's entirely up to you and what your process is. All I'm trying to do is just show you some simple math. Right? If you can't figure out how we got to the 38 or 36.8%, it's just simply these 2 numbers. And then you would take the percentage of what this percentage is, and that gets you this. So let's go on to another example. FUV was in the newsletter, and we were up. Let's get rid of that for a minute. And FUV was here. Right? And we had this huge run, 48%. But I stated to trim off the open, right? Lock it in because I was concerned about this line. So whether or not you did it, if you did, you were up 29.89% on this trimmed position in 3 days. I suggested we move the stop to break even. The stop is going to be raised, but for purposes here, we're just going to talk about this. 20% trimming at this level locked in 5.978%. Okay, this with this gets us this. Here, 50% of it was sold, we get this, right? 14.95%. 75% of our position was sold at this level. This is what we locked in. This is return on invested capital. Okay, that's the best way to explain it. So again, you're taking these 2 numbers to arrive at this. You're using this to calculate this, which gives you your total return on invested capital. And this was an old, I say older, we've only been doing these since November, but what's interesting is here's one where your buy price was $13.58. We trimmed at $19.98. We made 32% on the trim portion if we trimmed. 20% would be 6.41, 50% 16.15 gain, 75% 24.01. So you can see how you benefit if your trim portion comes down to your break even. Now, that's the basis. That's the very basic back of envelope. And it's up to you to determine your process, whether it's 0 or 100%. And we can talk about position size later. But let's get into this. So this is NIO. And I'm going to give you one example of this because I want to keep this short and sweet. So on NIO, we got in at 48.30. We stated to trim on NIO day. I'm going to just take the low of the day for the math purposes. and we made a 24.22% gain on the trimmed portion. We then moved our stop up to 53.99. Okay, so here we took 20% and stopped out at the rest at 53.99. This is just for educational purposes. So we would have made 4.8% on 20% of it and 8.8% on 80% of it. And then you can just calculate those together. I'm not going to do it in this, but you can just calculate those together, right? At, this ratio would be, 1/5 here, 4/5 of this one, because of the percentages, half and half. I mean, you can figure that out. 3/4, 1/4. That you should be able to figure out. But if you have a problem with it, let me know. But I just want you to understand this. So at this level, we made 4.844% on 20%, and then when we moved the stop up, because it was 80%, this is what we made. And you should be able to see this, right? And you can see how that if we sold at the trimmed portion, we made more money. So that's one way to look at how to set a process. I will do more and get more in depth, but I just wanted to give one that was short and sweet.